Hello everybody, welcome back to some Skyrim Special Edition. Now you might be wondering, but wait, in the last part you said that you were done. Does this mean that you found a bunch of stuff that you didn't, or that you had missed? No. Uh, but here's the thing, right? Didn't really feel like recording an extra Made of Skur video, because I don't think that it's going to be a very long game. Didn't want to start a new game because, well, for you guys, I would have started the game kind of Saturday, and then, it would have been 2 days, and then Tuesday when you get to see the next part. For me, I would have started the game, currently Friday, and then I wouldn't have probably played it again for like 3 or 4 days. So yeah, I felt I didn't really feel like doing that. So what we're going to do this part is 100% don't bother watching. This is very much a listen part. But I need a video for it. I need a video for it to go on. So, well, I guess technically I don't, but I don't do podcasts. So,
We're the only people who aren't complete fools.
So what this video is, I would say you can always look at the title, but I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. But it's just basically going to be me going around, getting rid of all the crap that I didn't sell, because I haven't actually played it since I finished the game. So we're just going to go around and sell all my crap, see how much money we end up with, and talk about what I would like to see in the next Elder Scrolls game. So I've heard some Murex boot and gloves. Those should be on the thing, shouldn't they? Whatever. So I have heard a little bit about it, but I don't really keep up with stuff like that, mainly because I don't want to hear something and then when the game finally comes out it's like, yeah, that wasn't true. But, so in general, it's like, oh, here's a game that's coming out, it's about this, it's like the general principle is this, and
the finest weapons,
and I'll base that off whether or not I'm gonna be more interested in it when it actually comes close to coming out, right? So yeah, I think it's going to be in Hammerfall. I think I read that somewhere, that is going to be in Hammerfall. Either way, as for where I would like it or have liked it to be set, Hammerfall is as good a place as any. I honestly don't think it makes a difference. Obviously, it makes a difference for what kind of landscape in that you'll see. Like if it's in Hammerfell, it'll obviously be sandy because it is a desert, I do believe. That's where all the Red Guards came from. What's the other one? High Rock and Hammerfell, I think are fairly close together, and they have this whole different people controlling different regions and everything. It's not like one one country like Skyrim, where the Jarls at least somewhat work together, or at least it's a lot more warring than they showed in Skyrim. But I honestly don't think it makes that much of a difference. Oh, don't want to do that. Because in the end, they can do whatever they want with wherever they place it, right? It's them determining the lore of the game. So if they decide to put it in Hammerfell and then be like, and then dragons, we're gonna have to accept it, right? I highly doubt they're gonna do that. Although I did see one thing that said that you might still be the Dragonborn for some reason. Now they could have something to do with Hermaeus Mora, because obviously he's like, you'll be a good Dragonborn for me.
Thank you very much.
So they could have it be something to do with that. I haven't heard anything about the time frame of that. Gameplay wise, honestly, I don't think that they can change up the formula all that much gameplay wise, for combat, without it just basically not being an Elder Scrolls game anymore, right? While the combat in Elder Scrolls is very simplistic, very easy,
Let me know if you see anything.
and in all honesty not all that good, it is the Elder Scrolls combat, right?
Some may call this junk.
I hope that they rework magic a little bit, so to make it a little bit more viable late game. Like we went over that when I was the spell sword, how, I slowly started using my spells less and less because they just became basically pointless eventually. So I do hope that they fix that. Uh, as for skills and like leveling up in that, I think that they nailed it with Skyrim. The actual perks in the perk trees could use some work. Uh, but I feel like they definitely did it right. If they wanted to bring like the strength, magic, and like those kind of stats back, I would be fine with that. But I just hope they don't do it the same as they did in Oblivion, because it was very annoying in Oblivion to like have to level up some random skill that you had no intention of actually using, just so that when you went to bed and leveled up, you
What do you need, my friend? Take a look.
you could get like the right amount of points into strength or something, right? Like it was horrible. Like it's one of the reasons why I never actually finished Oblivion, right? Was because like the leveling system, like I always felt like I had to micromanage my levels and everything, even though I know I didn't. But I always felt like I did, because if I didn't,
Come back anytime.
and like I saw like some stat didn't go up by as much as I knew it could have,
Look rather pale.
it felt like I fucked up.
It's quite a problem to have
I take a look.
And in all honesty, those stats, they help in a lot of games. With the Elder Scrolls game, even in like Oblivion, I don't know how much they helped in Morrowind. All of my opinions are based purely off of Oblivion and Skyrim, and most of them, well, no, I was gonna say most of them are based off Skyrim, but I mean, I did play Oblivion a lot, mainly because I didn't have very many other games at the time. But that's beside the point. I never did finish the main storyline or do the DLC, but I did finish every guild's quest line more than once, I think. Yeah. I think I may have only done the mages, or the full mage quest line once, but still.
You take care of yourself now.
Speaking of those, as for like the guild,
Me? I call them
I hope that they go more in depth than they did in this. I don't care if like they bring back the Warriors Guild or whatnot. Like I didn't mind that the Companions Guild wasn't the Warriors Guild, and that it would be interesting. I don't know if there's anything similar to the Dark Brotherhood that it's in Hammerfell, but it would be interesting to have like rival factions where you actually got to choose. Like for example, in this game, right, you have the Companions, and then you have the Silver Hand, but the Silver Hand never get fleshed out to be basically anything more than bandits, even though they're werewolf hunters and therefore should have had at least some support from
populace,
right? Like even if nobody believed them that the Companions were werewolves,
Food for the hungry.
they're still werewolf hunters, and werewolves are still obviously a rather large threat in the world. So they definitely should have had a bit more clout than they did, right? And it would have been very cool to be able to pick one or the other, right? And to go along with that, the quest lines, like the quest lines in this one were fine. They were good. I enjoyed them. They had their side quest. They had the Radiant quest. That makes sense. Having the Radiant quest makes sense because if you're in a guild like the Companions Guild, you're going to be getting a lot of the same jobs because you're basically mercenaries, right? So you're going to be getting a lot of the same jobs, just doing them for different people in that. And if you're wondering why my character sometimes like moves really weirdly, it's because I'm motioning with my hands in front of me, and it makes my character woo. But the thing is I hope that a lot of people might be annoyed by this, but I hope that they make it so that you have to do more for the guilds to power up. And in all honesty, I hope that you don't get to lead the guilds, or if you do, it takes a lot to get to that point. Because like obviously in this game here, especially if like you don't bother with side quests or anything, and like if you, let's say, join the Mages Guild and just plow through the Mages Guild storyline, you can be the Archmage with 0 magic skill, for one, because you can obviously do everything that they have with your sword, shield, bow, whatever, and then just have like a couple staffs on you for like those few instances where you actually need to cast a spell. right? Um, so I hope that they do take your skills into account for the guilds. Like, if you try and join the Dark Brotherhood, they, like, make you try and sneak through an area or something, and they have, like, a training session, right? But it's an actual training session. Like, once again, for the companions here, I think of them a lot because we're in Whiterun. Obviously, your only real training session was you go outside, you hit Vilkis, right? He's the one you hit a few times, and then he's like, that was very good. And that's it. That's like your initiation into, well, I guess technically your initiation is when you go out with Farkas, but you know, that's still not very hard. So like, I hope that like, so for example, Dark Brotherhood, they set up like a dummy at the end of this corridor, and your job is to sneak through everyone, only kill your target, and do it silently. And then if you can't do it, you don't get to join. Same with like the Thieves Guild. They like give you a target. It's something that you need to steal. And once again, they set up a bunch of stuff. And if you can't get to it silently, you don't get to join the Thieves Guild. Something like the Mages Guild and the Warriors Guild. I'm just going to call them the Warriors Guild because since we don't know what they're going to be in the next game, as far as I'm aware. As for them, obviously those ones are a little bit harder to like have a test for, because obviously you'll always be able to hit something. Now you could have it where the Warriors Guild you need to hit something and do enough damage within the time, like within a lot of time period, but that's kind of immersion breaking when you know the characters would be technically counting like your damage numbers, which isn't something that they could see. Like you could be like, you've done this much damage to the thing, and I guess they could have like a dummy that just as it reaches certain damage thresholds, it like shows somehow, and it's like that's how they're judging you. That would be less immersion breaking. And then for the Mages Guild, just make you, I guess, just make you cast a bunch of different spells or like types of spells. Like I don't. Once again, I don't know. I feel like that would be a hard one.
Finally.
Depending on how they make you learn magic. Because like in Skyrim here, you could go for a long time without ever learning the spell Sparks, even though it's like one of the most basic spells there is, because if you just don't happen to come across the book, right?
You're just. I give special rates to members.
But yeah, so like something like that,
what you've got.
to get into it, and then like to advance in rank. Like yes, you have your storyline that has to do with it. Have your storyline so like certain things like end on not a cliffhanger, but like where they end, where you know that there's something more to it, but not where like there's something more to it and it feels like you should be rushing towards like to fix it or something, you know? Like I said, there's a few things in this game. Actually, no, it wasn't. Yeah. Where it's like, here's the, and same with like the main quest line. Like this goes for the main quest line, any other quest line as well. Have it open up so that each individual part of the quest line is important, but like in between the parts is like a very like nondescript thing, right? So like let's say, like in this game here, right? Like you have Aldwin the Destroyer. You see Aldwin immediately, that's fine. You learn who he is immediately, that's fine. You learn about the dragons and that you're Dragonborn, that's fine. But Aldwin is about to end the world. You should be doing, like, as soon as you go and see the Greybeards and learn that you're a Dragonborn and the only one who can take down Aldwin, you should then be, theoretically, to save the world, doing everything in your power to get to the point where you get to fight and kill Aldwin. All the running around we did, you know, before we killed Aldwin, which was obviously a lot, is not something that somebody who's worried about saving the world would do, right? So if they had made it so that, like, let's say after each main quest, or like each main quest, when you went and turned it in, it wasn't necessarily like a timer or anything. It was just like like an investigation, right? It's like, okay, now that you've done that, good. we've heard or we believe or we just found this old record of something that sends you on to your next quest line. But it's like, oh, just check this out when you can. We don't know like how valid this is and whatnot, right? Just something to give an excuse as to why your character doesn't seem to be worried about it, right? Like it could even be like you're trying to prevent something from happening, but you don't know exactly what that something is, or where it's like, oh, we need to prevent, like we know because of this Elder Scroll that the end of the world is coming, but we haven't managed quite to figure out quite, like we have some clues that we need to follow up, right? But according to this, the end seems to be further in the future, so we should have plenty of time to investigate and solve it, right? And then obviously somewhere near the end something happens to speed it up, and it's like, oh, I guess it's happening now, all right. Or it's like, oh, we misread that, and it just happens to be that it happens now,
Good afternoon.
Which is still more believable than, oh, Alduin, the Devourer of Worlds, is laying waste to Skyrim and resurrecting other dragons, which are also laying waste to Skyrim. It's like, all right, I'm going to go do this fishing contest because this guy challenged me to a fishing contest. I know I'm the only person who can save it, but I'm going to go do this first. I hope you don't mind. And it's the same with like any like main or like guild quest line or any quest line. If there's going to be multiple steps that require you to do a lot of travel or something, don't have it be, because obviously if it's a step that takes place like within the same dungeon, same city, whatever, it odds are the person's just gonna, like, you're just gonna do it, right? It's like, oh, I'm here, I may as well just knock this out while I'm here, right? Like, you could leave, but then that's on you, right? I mean, like, that's different than the game, because I mean, like, a game like Skyrim, like, they built this game, they made this game, it's this huge open world, they built it so that you could explore it and that, but then they give you a main quest line and a bunch of other quest lines that seem to have a time limit that never comes due. And now, I'm not saying that they should just put in a time limit. That's lazy. Where it's like, oh, if you don't complete this quest by this, or after this amount of in-game days, you lose or something, right? Like, that's not, no. Because the only thing that I hate worse than being forced, or than a quest line that seems like it should have a timer, is a quest line that actually has a timer. That's the only thing that I can think of that's worse. And we sold all of our stuff, and I'm not done.
I'm no fan of the sun. What would be better than this?
But yeah, as for like followers, I would much prefer it. Is that it for quests, actually? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind all the quests that they have in Skyrim. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, like there's so many quests that are just go find the thing and bring it back, or go there, kill the guy, and come back. And it's like, that's technically every quest. Like, the main quest is technically go kill Alduin and then come back, right? Well, I guess technically the main quest is just go kill Alduin. I don't think they really care if you come back or not. And the thing that makes the quest different is obviously how interesting doing that thing is, or how interesting getting to the target is. Because pretty much any quest in any game can be boiled down to kill the thing or find the thing. And how interesting it is to get to the thing is what makes the quest better, good or not. Which is just a problem with quests in general, because obviously you have a big open world. You need to fill it with quests. Not every quest is going to be a winner, and with how many quests there are, there's going to be a lot of losers. But yeah, that's basically it for quests. See, what did we do? We did quest lines, skills, I went over. Combat, I went over. Just basically the same. I honestly, the only thing about combat really would be I would like a better quick switch. Like, I would like to be able to, like, knock out two things. So, like, I have my Stalrim Greatsword. If I want to use some kind of magic, I have to go into here, unequip my sword, put it in, hit the magic, cast the spell, and then go back in and go back to my sword. I would like to have, like, a quick switch where it's like I have my sword out. I, like, hold Y or something. Hold something. and instead of like, and then it like puts away the sword, pulls out the magic, then when I hold it again, it'll switch back, right? Just have like a quick switch so that you can do multiple things. You could have your sword and your bow, you have your sword and spells, you could have whatever, right? While I'm talking, let's just go kill something. Let's go find. Sure, let's go here. So like stuff like that, right? That would basically be my only thing for combat. Dungeon-wise, I think they did great. Obviously, some dungeons in that, some inside areas are better than others, but once again, it's a big open world, and in reality, even in a fantasy world, you're gonna explore some fairly fucking boring shit. Like not everything is gonna be super interesting. Not everything is gonna be. I'm just gonna let them do it, actually. Well, I should probably keep my sword out just so the sphere at least stays at the ready. But yeah, there's gonna be some duds, and I'm fine with that because all those duds are the ones where they can give you the radiant quests for. As for like radiant quests, I guess that would be one thing that I would change about the locations. There's a lot of very large locations that you can get a very basic radiant quest for, and the thing is at the end of the dungeon. Like this place here that like we just did in like no time at all. That would be a good one. Like ones like this would be good for those. Ones like Bleak Falls Barrow, to like find some kids or like some old lady's lost frying pan or something. Bleak Falls Barrow doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that bandits would take a frying pan either, but it's just a bad example. So yeah, I mean, like obviously, better examples, but that's what I mean. Like the more, like the less important the quest, the smaller the place it should be in, right? Like you shouldn't need to go through a huge elaborate dungeon to find this worthless piece of trash unless there is like a better reward at the end. Like that's the thing, like time versus reward. Obviously, when you're at the level that I'm at and the power that I'm at, the time is negligible. But at the same time, the reward is negligible, which brings me to my next point: rewards and items and that. Honestly, I hope they don't do smithing and enchanting. Or if they do, it's not us doing it. Like, I wouldn't mind if there were blacksmiths or enchanters that you could pay to do stuff. That was like, oh, if you bring me this, I can upgrade that for you, right? I'd be fine with that because it's a lot easier to put limits on stuff like that. Whereas, like, obviously, it wasn't very long into the game, and we had basically the best weapons and armor you could get. This place does not look like it respawns. Like, the best weapons and armor you could get, and it was all fully enchanted and everything, right? And it just felt, and then like everything we picked up was worthless. Like it didn't matter. Like I didn't have to pick up any weapons and armor because there was no point to it. Not even to sell it because it weighed way too much and would weigh me down. And it was just easier to just leave it there because I also didn't have very much to spend money on, which is obviously another problem, right? Yeah, let's go down to what is it? Black Reach, I think. Let's go down there and just run around while we do this. So yeah, I would very much like in like the Daedric artifacts. There were so few of them that had like actually unique enchantments on them, or enchantments that you couldn't, make a different way, right? So like stuff like that, obviously, it would be so much better if the rewards were worth it. And obviously taking away the player's ability to craft their own weapons and armor would make those things more worth it, especially with enchanting. Because like with enchanting, it's like, here's these boots that increase backstab damage, and here's these shoes that increase or that decrease the noise you make. It's like, yeah, but I can just take a pair of the heaviest boots there is, throw a muffle enchantment on it, And then put, actually, can you have backstab damage? I don't know that you can do sneak attack damage with enchanting. But either way, it's like, well, what's the point? So it would be nice, and then like as you progress, as for like the enemies leveling, just to go with that, I think once again Skyrim nailed it. The I don't know why I'm looting stuff. The fact that certain enemies level up and then they have a cap. Like that's the important thing. I don't mind enemies leveling with you. But like I said, I think Skyrim nailed it, or at least the way I understand the way it works, they nailed it. Because the way I understand it works is when you enter an area like Blackreach, whatever level you're at, it then sets that level based, or then sets that area based on your level. It has a certain amount of enemies that it'll try and put above the level if possible, to like the higher ranking monster or the higher ranking versions of them. And that it has a certain amount of them that it'll put at the lower ranks, right? And a certain amount that it'll try and put it at your level. But if you have too much trouble with it, you can leave, come back later, and when you do, they'll still be at that level. And it won't feel like they upgraded while you were away. Now, granted, them upgrading while you're away is still technically completely plausible. And makes perfect sense. But just because video game, it just makes you have more of a sense of progression if you can come back to an area that you struggled with and no longer struggle with it, right? And then like I said, there's some enemies that have a level cap, and there's a few bosses that don't have a level cap. Apparently I've been poisoned. Oh well. And I think my spear may have been poisoned as well, which is not theoretically possible. So yeah, like the enemy leveling system, once again, I feel like Skyrim nailed it. Like I said, for the skills, I feel like Skyrim nailed it. The only thing is obviously some of the actual perks could be need to be reworked to be a little bit more impactful, or a little bit just less useless, like the wax key perk. Like nobody seriously uses that. Let's see. The bosses were fine. I mean, once again, it's an open world game, and because of the way the combat is, and that you can only have the bosses be so epic. You basically just have to make them look epic and do stuff that the player themselves can't do, or that you don't see other enemies doing, right? So bosses, I feel, are fine. Regular enemies are fine. They're very few. Followers, that was the one. I knew that I had started talking about one, but it switched. Followers, I feel like if they take a page from the Amazing Follower tweak mod, that would be better, because like the fact that followers level with you or don't level with you, I do believe in the base game, is garbage. The fact that you can't do anything with your followers to alter their what they're learning in that as they go is shit. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the way followers work is when you find them, they get their level set, and that's it. That's now their level. I don't think that I'm not sure that they actually level up with you past that. Maybe they do, because I know that there's, I want to say 2 followers. Maik is one, not Maik. The Jazargo is one. Got the wrong cap. Who doesn't have a level cap, so can technically become insanely powerful. But yes, it would be very nice to have followers that leveled with you and everything, and that got like actual skills in that of their own, and even some, and like it would be even better if like maybe not every follower, but if followers got unique skills specific to them because of their backstory, because of their whatever, right? They would get like a skill that's unique to them and potentially able to be learned by you if they added some kind of like relationship system into it, where it's like if they trusted you enough, they could show you how to do something, right? Oh, it's a sphere. So yeah, followers could use some tweaking. But once again, there's only so much you could do with them. Let's see. Well, you are apparently, Serana. I don't know where you went, though. Let's see. Quests, bosses, locations. Oh, because, like, Skyrim had the Hearthfire mod where you build stuff, right? And then Fallout 4 came out and they had the whole settlement mod, right? Or the whole settlement system, right? I think I talked about this once before in one of the other ones, but considering what this video is, I should probably just reiterate it. I wouldn't mind them having some kind of mixture of it. I don't want as many settlements as there are in Fallout 4. That's too many for one person to be handling in a situation like that. Now, if you're going to have that many settlements, have it where you're able to assign somebody to do some of the stuff for you, right? Now, obviously, with the way that the building system works in Fallout 4, you can't really assign someone to build a base because, like, what are you going to tell them, right? Now, if they had it where you could assign somebody as the leader of it and then tell them what you would like that settlement to be, so, like, for example, let's go with Hangman's Alley in Fallout 4, right? Be able to, like, you're the leader of this place now. Make this place like basically a military style checkpoint. You know, have this be a military checkpoint, or have go to like the Sunny something farms or commune or something, and be like, make this place a farm, or make this place a supply depot. You know, so like send out your stuff. So make it like a supply hub. So like supply chains go to and from it, or from this place, or to and from this place, and all of your other settlements, right? Stuff like that. And then have it where whenever you tell people, or whenever you tell your leader that, they will set it up to the best of their ability like that. And then obviously you can come in and make the tweaks that you want to make, build what you want to build, and adjust whatever you want to adjust. But obviously with the way that the building system in Fallout 4 works, that's going to be near impossible. So what I would suggest is something closer to what Skyrim has, where if you're going to have a settlement, because I would like it to be a settlement. I would like, my ideal would be one settlement that you get to build up over time. But have it be a settlement, have there be specific plots of land that can be used to build on, have them be different sizes, and depending on the size, the size of the plot determines what you can build on it, right? So like this is a small plot of land, you can build something that's small, like a house or something, right? It's like this is a medium one, you can build a store here. In the medium one, this was a large one, you can build a larger store or an inn or something, right? And just because, like, if you did something like that, then if you came and gave the direction to your settlement director, the leader, the mayor, whatever they want to call them, then that would make it a lot easier for the game to be like, all right, well, if they want it to be something like this, that means that small plots should be whatever, large plots, medium plots, and they could even restrict it even more, where different places only has so many options, where it's like, it doesn't make sense for this place to be a military checkpoint because it's so far away from the road and any main travel points. So there's no reason. So you just can't make that place a military checkpoint because there would be no reason to. And they could put restrictions in it like that, so that the developers could basically they would have a developer go in, take each location and what it can be turned into, and lay it out, and that's the layout that the NPCs will follow unless you change it. unless you alter it in some way, right? And I think that would be a good way to do it, because that would give you some control over it, but it would also let you leave it to grow naturally. And for players who just don't want to deal with it at all, they can just assign the leader, say make it this, and walk away. Because that's the thing with Fallout 4, once again, the reason why I don't like how many settlements there are there, even though I'm somebody who fucking loves to build stuff like that, is that once you get so many settlements, that's all you're doing is putting out fires, dealing with settlement shit, right? It's like, oh, this settlement somehow lost power and now they don't have enough water. This settlement is being attacked. Somebody got kidnapped from this settlement. And it's just a lot when you're trying to play another game, right? Like, if that was the game, that would be fine. But the fact that there's obviously going to be other storylines in that involved makes having to go and do stuff like that very annoying. So like that would be my ideal for some kind of settlement building system in there, right? And I think last time I talked about this, so it'd be nice to have it where it's like, oh, here's a blacksmith, and like you actually go out and recruit, like you build a blacksmith shop, and instead of just and then here's a blacksmith. Why? Because he showed up, so he gets the job. Go out and like recruit a blacksmith, and it's like, you can recruit this blacksmith. I hear they're very good at. Like I hear that they're great with light armor, and it's like, or you can go and recruit this blacksmith. I hear they're great with heavy armor, and then have that not only change what's available in your settlement's blacksmith shop, but even ideally what the blacksmith shop ends up looking like. That would also be ideal. Can I fast travel out of here? I cannot. That's fine. There's a town right here. That would be like basically all of that put together would be like my ideal. And like I said, they could have it be a bunch of settlements. I would prefer it if you just had like one settlement that you could build up, and like it starts small, and then as like you get more people, as you get more power, as you get more something, right? Even if it's just as you get more resources, you can level it up and it'll grow, it'll expand, and like its borders will actually push out, allowing you to build more and more stuff, right? Because then that would not only give money and resources. Now, I would much prefer the resources like they have here, not like in Fallout 4 where you have to scrounge up every little piece of trash to try and build something. But more like the resources where you have here, where it's like, here's a lumber mill, I'm buying lumber. You buy, well, I mean, in this one here, you have to buy the metal and I think make the nails and everything yourself. I don't think you can buy those anywhere. But either way, it would give the player a reason to get the materials, to get the money. It would give you a reason for the money. Because I have 917,000 gold, and I haven't bought anything in so long that it's ridiculous. Outside of training, I guess. I have paid people to train me and stuff. And that's the only thing that I've spent money on in so long. That having like a settlement that you could build up that would require money, it would give the players a reason to seek wealth. And that would obviously be very nice to be able to have a reason for that, See, is there anything else? Settlements, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that covers basically what an Elder Scrolls game is, right? Oh, map-wise, I hope they don't do this shit. It looks nice, but you know what? Give me a hand-drawn, like a map that looks hand-drawn and it has the roads drawn on it and everything, like instead of like the rivers and that, just have it be a line. It's like, oh, it's a lake, and instead of having like the nice one, just have it be a circle. Like, or give me the option to flip between the two. Because like I don't like that the map's at an angle. I don't like that it's topographic. And even like when you look down, I just don't like the map. It's annoying to me. The locations are nice. Whether or not every location needs to be fast travel, it doesn't really make a difference. I think I talked about that in the last part of the part before. And like I said, it doesn't really make a difference if you can fast travel to every point or fast travel close. They both have their merits. Um, so either or is fine. The inventory, I find the inventory fine. I don't know, like I know a lot of people have a problem with the way they did the inventory. I have no idea why. I literally do not see the problem. It's separated by category. You open it up. I mean, I don't know what more they want from an inventory system. Like, yeah, maybe they would have been nice to have maybe a couple more instead of just miscellaneous at the bottom, but that's it. As for magic, like I said, it needs to be reworked just to be a little bit more usable. Like, a lot of the master level spells are fairly worthless. Uh, the skills, like I said, the way that you level up and everything is fine. The legendary system is good because then it lets you level up more without having to do stuff that you don't want to do, you know? Like before, to get to level 81, you had to max out every single fucking skill here, and if you just wanted to play as a warrior, you know, then you would still have to level up sneak, lockpicking. Well, odds are you'd level up lockpicking anyway. But like sneak, everything. But if you're gonna do the legendary thing, they need to fix ones like one-handed, two-handed archery, destruction, like any of the magics and that, because obviously resetting it down to 15, you're now basically no longer able to use the stuff that you were before if you're doing magic, right? Because like you won't have the perk points that halves the magic it costs. Obviously with enchanting you can make the cost 0 anyway, but that's no fun. But the real problem comes when you want to like legendary one-handed, for example, because the one-handed skill directly affects damage. And not only that, but all of the perks in here, obviously you would lose the all 5 levels of armsman perk, which effectively doubles your damage. Same with ones like light armor and heavy armor. Those directly affect how much defense the armor you're wearing has. So obviously legendarying one of them, not to mention how long it takes to level them up, immediately you're weaker than you were before you do it. And if you're trying to legendary something, there should be a reward for it. And the only reward for legendarying something like heavy armor or two-handed or one-handed archery light armor, the only reward is you now have to be weaker, because now the only reason to level it or to legendary it is to level it up again. So, and your reward for trying to level it up again is to now be weaker than you were before, just to get a couple extra perk points. Which, if you have the Dragonborn DLC, beat the Dragonborn DLC, you can refund your perk points whenever you want. Or you know what, if you have something like lockpicking that you put points into, you make it to 100. Legendary that one, you get your perk points back. So while the legendary system is nice, they need a way for it to not be as much of a hindrance as it is. Now, obviously, once again, with smithing and enchanting, the hindrance is minimized or eliminated because of those two things. But like I said, smithing and enchanting kind of breaks this game an insane amount. And then I'm not going to go into like individual perk trees or anything, because all of them have perks that are decent, some that are very specialized, and others that are just completely worthless. And yeah, I mean, that's, well, here, let's look through this, because this will, werewolf, vampire stuff, I imagine they'll keep that. I don't really see any problems with the way they did it. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have a bit more variety or a bit like wider range of skills as them. But I mean, there's only so much you can do as for a werewolf. I mean, and then like vampires are basically the same as a person, except in this one they can transform. Locations, dungeons, days. I wouldn't mind if they did something with the days. Like we passed 759 days, so we spent technically like over 2 years in the game doing everything, and obviously nothing changed unless we effectively did it ourselves. So it would be nice if that did, but at the same time, you know, not a lot changes in a region basically in like a year or two, you know, normally. But it would be nice if they had just something that showed a little progress. sleeping versus waiting. I mean, I don't think that really matters. Standing stones, gold. See, I found 1.6 million gold, and I only spent about 700,000 of it. Skill books, food, eating, training books, horses, houses. Once again, houses, but that goes into the whole settlement thing. Stores invested in. It would be nice. That's one thing that I would like to see. I would like to see you able to open up a store yourself. So instead of having to run around and sell stuff to all the individual merchants, obviously would still be good to be able to do that. Apparently, I contracted 3 diseases. It would be nice to also be able to open up your own store and then just like dump your stuff on your storekeeper, on whoever you have running your store, and they sell it for you. You come back, and they just give you whatever money they made for it, right? Like you could, like they whatever the value of the item is would determine how much it gets sold for. Dragonborn, Dawnguard, miscellaneous main side, companion, college, Civil War. For the Civil War stuff, if they have it where shit takes damage, like cities get broken and that, have other quests associated with them that lets you rebuild them or repair them or clean them up at the very least. Because that's more realistic. Like we have that busted ass bridge and shit, and what's his face's house, the preacher's house in Whiterun that's destroyed. And because obviously we did the Civil War quest line, now we've done Dawnguard, Dragonborn, and all that. It's been destroyed for a long time, and they just haven't done anything about it. That's not realistic. Daedric quests, I enjoyed all the Daedric quests in the game. There's some that are better than others, but once again, it's always going to happen. Not everything can be a winner, but I don't think that there was any real specific losers in them. And then obviously, if they take away smithing and enchanting, you can have the Daedric rewards be significantly more applicable and worth it, right? People, animal, creature, undead, Daedra, favorite weapon. Really? The Stalrim Greatsword? Have I really used the Greatsword more than I used my other sword? Wow, that's honestly surprising to me. Huh. Bunny slaughter. Apparently I killed a bunny at some point. I don't even remember doing that. Backstabs, weapons disarm. I mean, the stealth system in the game is the Elder Scrolls stealth system. I mean, it's not really a huge amount you could do to fix it. Because obviously, like, without having... Because even though NPCs have patrol routes, they can very easily get screwed up. So having, like... I don't know. I mean, like a lot of once your sneak goes up, they basically once your sneak hits 100, they're basically blind. Like you can crouch in front of them, and it's like, I don't know where he went. And obviously that's a bit much, so they could loosen that a little bit. But I mean, there's not really a huge amount you can do without just making it so that stealth is worthless, right? 105 spells learned. My favorite spell was Necromantic Healing. Yeah, I feel like favorite is like recently used. Because I know for a fact that I haven't used Necromantic Healing nearly as much as I've used some other spells. 90 Dragon Souls. 81 Words of Power learned. Unlocked 87. That's interesting. 27 Shouts learned. Unlocked 29 of them. But I've unlocked 29 Shouts. I've only mastered 27. I'm assuming that it's not counting ones where I didn't need to spend a Dragon Soul for them. The shouts, honestly, I wouldn't mind if they had some kind of we have powers other than shouts that we can use, and that's fine. The shouts didn't really add a whole lot to the game. I mean, outside of maybe Fusroda and Whirlwind Sprint, and even then, there's no reason why there couldn't be spells that just copy those, So I don't really care if they have anything like shouts. And last one, crafting. Weapons made, potions mixed. 30 wings pluck. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's I already went over crafting. I just hope that they honestly just take it out. As for crime, I mean, Apparently I stole a horse at some point. Assaulted 22 people. Nope. 152. I wonder if that counts all those times. And 22 murders. No, it definitely doesn't keep track of that then, because there'd be a lot more murders. 22 murder? Maybe the Dark Brotherhood stuff. That would make sense. I don't know the assaults, because I would presume that I assaulted 130 more people than I killed, which doesn't seem likely. I mean, once again, the bounties, like the crime system in the game works fine just because it's a video game. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense. But once again, you can't really have it so that it breaks the gameplay function, right? Because obviously I could walk into Whiterun, slaughter everybody, and, you know, there's going to be some people left alive because they're marked as essential. They're going to know I did it. The bounty's going to be there, and I'm going to be able to pay a couple thousand, and everybody's fine with it. Nobody mentions it again. So, like, maybe have people mention crimes that you've been caught doing, you know, like have people bring it up. Like, obviously, the more severe the crime, the further reaching the news of it goes. Like, if you get caught pickpocketing a person, you know, like the person might bring it up, and maybe somebody who's considered close to them, but like somebody, like if I got caught pickpocketing somebody in the Reach, odds are somebody in Solitude isn't going to bring it up, right? But yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything else that might come into play in a new game. If you guys have any other,
What's a
just
milk
ignored.
drinker like you doing out there? Go home to your mother.
Like if you guys have anything that like that you would like to see, or you disagree with anything I said, or like have adjustments to be made to anything that I said, I'm motioning to my computer screen right now, like you're there. Please leave them in the comments. I would love to discuss what you guys would like to see in the next game. When the next game comes out, I will probably, I guess, do videos in it just because I did this one. I mean, if I had never done it, I probably wouldn't have. But since I finished Skyrim 100%, probably, I like to throw that probably on there. I should probably switch it to Skyrim 99.9% playthrough. Because, just leave that small percentage out for anything that I missed. But yeah, leave them in the comments. I respond to, well, I would say I respond to most comments. I respond to most comments that look like they need a response. I mean, obviously I don't respond to every comment, because there's a lot of comments that are I got one the other day where it's like, yay, a new vid for one of my Skyrim ones, and it's like, oh, that's great to see, but I mean, it's not really something that you need to respond to, right? Like, it's nice to see it, but, or I get like a lot on like my guides there for Sleeping Dogs Net, where it's like, thank you. I even got one on one of my Hitman guides where it's like, you're the man or something, and it's like, yeah, I'm the man, sure. But once again, that's not really something you respond to unless you're a narcissist. Or you want to make a joke. The one that said you're the man, I could very easily make a joke where it's like, you know what? I am the man. But either way, like, yeah, leave them in the comments. I would be glad to respond. If I forgot to bring up something that, is like a major part of these games, or even a minor part of the games. I mean, like I said, I don't want to get into like individual skills in that, because just like overall, I feel like they did the skills all right. It could use some tweaking, but here and there. But if you guys want to get more into it more specifically, I'd be happy to get into that in the comments. But I don't think that we need to make the video any longer.
Hail, friend. It's good to see another merry soul enjoying this fine day. Ah, but you look tired. Come, share a bottle of Hunting Brew mead with me.
No.
Cheers,
Anyway.
friend.
But yeah, so that'll be it for this part. This is video. I looked it up. 148 parts, including this one. So it took me 147 to actually make it through all of Skyrim. Varying lengths. I mean, I tried to keep them at around an hour. I know that there were a few that were shorter. I know there were some weeks that I did like 3 half-hour parts, but I mean, there's also times where we went over an hour on them, so it probably balanced out to about an hour. And I mean, let's see actually, because we have stats, right? So do we have time played? Do we have a play time? Maybe 700 and... Okay, so if I save there... So yeah, 746 hours, I guess? And 57 minutes, almost 747 hours, I think, is what that means that I played this for. But I mean, to be fair, this was on in the background a lot. I don't know how much of that time it counts. And even when it wasn't on the background, there was times where it was on in the foreground, and I walked away and did stuff. So I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, but either way, that's a lot. But yeah, so this is officially the final video for Skyrim. Once again, if you guys figure out like a bunch of stuff that I didn't do, or something that you would like me to do, like if, for example, you decided that you would want me to check out all of the unmarked locations for whatever reason, I could probably make one part out of that. But I mean, it's like none of them are going to be very, very important, but I would still be willing to do that because for the few that are, you know. But thanks everybody for watching. It's been a hell of a trip, almost a full year of videos in Skyrim, but we made it to the end. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who watched every part. Even though I know that, or at least last I looked anyway, that there was a bunch of them that had 0 views. But I mean, you know, it's Skyrim. Like a lot of people know, then you know they're gonna pop in when they pop in, and even if you don't, you're not gonna miss a whole lot because it's, you know, I generally kept my quests so that they were contained within one video, and I don't really talk about stuff from, like, I try and keep a topic of discussion within a single video. So, but either way, thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you think, or what you would like to see in the next Elder Scrolls down below, and I would love to have some conversations with you guys about it. Obviously, if you're watching this far in the future when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, don't bother leaving those comments. We'll know whether or not it has those features, and there's no point in discussing it. But if you're watching it before Elder Scrolls 6, so you know within the next 50 years, feel free to leave the comments and or to start a chat there in the comments. And yeah, I will see you next week for a new game.